If you've ever picked up the phone to seek business, to ask somebody else if you can take some of their time and so you could sell them something, then you've probably at times wondered, is there a better way? Now, you and I both know that prospecting works. There's countless examples of people out there who have done and built great businesses by prospecting. But I would venture to say that each and every one of them at some point in their career has said, is there another way? Is there another way to where I don't have to go through 100 people to get to the one that actually does a deal with me? Is there a way to actually have my phone ring, to actually have people contact me and to enter into that equation differently? If that question has entered your mind, then you're in the right spot today. I have somebody whose business did exactly that. And I'm excited to introduce you to her. Today's episode is going to be about how you can transition your business from being a prospector to being really an influencer and an attractor. Stay with us, folks. It's going to be a great episode. The big question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry with crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we simultaneously seek success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. All right, welcome back, everybody. Again, excited to be with you. Today, we talk about real estate content creation, specifically how to go from being a prospector to being an influencer, an attractor. Today's episode is all about that. Loida Velasquez, so excited to have you with us here today on the show. Thank you for taking some of your very valuable time to come pour into us.
Yes, thank you, Justin. I'm excited for our chat, and hopefully everyone that's listening is going to take a few tips and implement them in their business.
I love it. That is my ultimate request, right? Is that this isn't just entertainment, but that they really take something away. So if you're listening, listen carefully. Today, there's going to be some very tactical things that Loida will be able to help us to do. Now, Loida, you're out of Hollywood, Florida. I know typically when people, at least along the West Coast where I'm at, when we think of Hollywood, we think of one Hollywood, right, which is California. Tell us a little bit about Hollywood, Florida. How did you end up there? Because I know you have now a team that spans the country. You've got a team in California as well as Florida. So tell us a little bit about, about Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah. So I moved out here about a year ago. So I'm originally from Los Angeles. I moved out here back in 2022. All of my business in real estate has been in California. So it's funny. I went from one Hollywood to the other Hollywood. And I got my license in 2015. I started just prospecting, making phone calls, door knocking. That grew, and eventually I made the transition out here to Florida. A lot of people ask me, what is it like to start pretty much brand new in a completely different state? I didn't have a database. I didn't know a lot of people. But for me, it was exciting because I knew the skills that were required to succeed. Those don't change. At the end of the day, it's all about talking to people, having good conversations, and knowing that if ultimately you can help someone with their need, whether it's buying, selling, or investing, you can succeed anywhere. So that's kind of what my journey has been out here. But I'm still doing a lot of business in California, even though I'm in Florida.
That's a good spot to be in. I think there's a lot of people migrating to Florida from California. You're not the only one. And to be able to maintain business there, right? To where you can still continue to monetize your business there. That's exciting. That's awesome. Talk to us about your YouTube channel. I know you've got 88,000 subscribers, 5 million views. Talk to us why YouTube. I know there are many of other platforms out there. Talk to us why you chose YouTube, or at least why it's one of the few that you take very seriously.
Yeah. So I started to create content on YouTube back in 2015. That's when I got my license. And I remember being brand new. I had heard about cold calling expired for sale by owners. I knew that I wanted to go after listings, but I had no idea how to make those calls, what to expect. So I found myself going on YouTube to see what real estate agents were posting. And to my surprise, I wasn't finding a lot of content. And the content that I was finding, it was older people that had been in the business or coaches. It wasn't really agents that were still actively calling, knocking, or doing things like that. So then that's when I saw that as an opportunity for myself. Along with that, I wasn't seeing many women talking about real estate and sales. So that's kind of when the light bulb went off. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the time for me to start sharing my journey, what I'm learning, how it's going, see me fail, see me succeed. And I had no experience, creating content, being in front of a camera. Quite the opposite. I had always been a very shy person. Growing up in middle school, high school, and even in college, I would be the last person to raise their hand if the teacher wanted to volunteer. So the fact that I was putting myself out there on video, I was one of those agents, those people that I started to create these videos and I'm like, hopefully nobody ever sees them. I'm going to put them out there. And to my surprise, people started to relate to what I was posting. I was recording myself making these phone calls. And that's kind of how my journey on YouTube started. It was me sharing my journey, sharing what I was learning. And then I saw that a lot of agents were relating to what I was putting out. I knew that I wanted to be consistent, one video a week. I knew that video was a way to go. And I also saw that as an opportunity because there's hundreds of thousands of agents. So for me, it was like, what can I do to separate myself when I'm meeting with a client so that they remember me versus every other agent that's probably calling them or sending them mailers. And that's why I pretty much stayed consistent with YouTube, and it's still the platform that I prioritize over any other one.
Isn't that fascinating that someone introverted like you would now be kind of a YouTube star, right? At some
Yeah.
level. And I would call myself more introverted than extroverted. People that know me, they're like, yeah, you're extremely extroverted. And I'm like, not necessarily. Like, and I think actually video is a great place for people like you and I who are decent communicators and we have a message to share, but we're not, like, for example, if you put me in a room full of strangers, in fact, let me back up and say, if you put my mom in a room full of strangers, anybody that knows my mom would be, it's like her favorite thing. Like, oh my goodness, all these people, I don't know how to make so many friends. And I'm like, this is not fun for me, right? Where it's like just these random conversations. Once I get going, I can kind of get warmed up and do it. But it's interesting how video allows me to really express and utilize my abilities to communicate without being in those awkward situations of trying to create conversations. And I think this is actually very telling, now that I think about it, Loida, of going from being a prospector where you're in those awkward conversations where you're trying to initiate a conversation with somebody else, right? Isn't that what prospecting is all about? And trying to get enough value or enough personality or enough something in before they hang up or say, go away, right? Close the door, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, those aren't fun conversations, but we do it because that's what we think is the only way. And what we're saying now is that there's a new way for you to connect with people, use your same ability to communicate without that awkward, how do we get this started, right? Like, I know you're going to like me eventually. Please, please, please don't hang up, right? Because that's not fun. It's not fun for us. It's not fun for them. And we all know what it's like to be like on the other side of that phone. It's like, dang it, you got me. This is a solicitor. How do I get off the phone, right?
Yeah.
Yet when we can follow someone online that's got valuable information, it's like, hey, this is great. This is really interesting. I like this person. Hey, and they're funny. They've got some personality. They're kind of like me. They're kind of quirky. They're kind of whatever it is, right? And I think that this might actually be the solution. I believe it is a solution for a lot of introverted people who also believe that they're decent at communicating.
Absolutely. I think for me, video and just creating content has changed my business completely. Just last week, I got an email from someone back in California. She emailed me, pretty much found all of the emails she could ever find, went into my website, everywhere you can think of. She was trying to get a hold of me. Hey, Loida, I've been watching your videos. I've been thinking about selling my house. Please give me a call whenever you have a chance. We're going to work with your schedule. Anyway, long story short, I ended up connecting with her. We hopped on a Zoom call. She told me the life story, and she was referencing videos that I had posted years ago. She was like, that's how you know I've been stalking you. And at the end of the conversation, it was like they were asking me if I would want to take them as clients. And those are the type of conversations that I think any agent would love to have. In the beginning, you mentioned, like, how would you like your phone to be ringing instead of you trying to connect with these sellers that might already be kind of rude, or they're like, oh, here's another agent that's calling me. Now I'm getting these clients that are reaching out to me because they see the value. They see all of the content that I have put out. It's educating them. They feel like they know me, even though we've never met. And this is the power of video and social media.
Yeah, it really is. It changes that awkward upfront. How do we get this conversation started? They get to warm up to you, right? They get to start to like you, and over time. And what you mentioned there, I think, was actually another answer to why you chose YouTube, is because these more short form social mediums, right? Like Instagram, like TikTok, even Facebook, the news feed disappears over a while, right? They only show back up when Facebook is reminding you 7 years ago you posted this, right? Whereas with YouTube, it continues to optimize, and the SEO grows over time. If you create good content that people are searching for, YouTube will help bring your content to them, right? This is
Mhm.
this is the unique thing about YouTube. It is it's more of a search engine than it is a social medium, to where people are out there searching, and YouTube has to deliver the most relevant content to those people. So if you can nail the content in the video as to what people are actually searching for, you may come up, like you said, years and years later after you
Yeah.
created the video, which it really creates this asset online that continues to pay you in the form of people reaching out to you, which is an exciting thing to consider when you're thinking about how you're going to allocate your time to which social medium.
Exactly. Yeah. YouTube is the second largest search engine out there. So even the videos that I have put out years ago, there's videos that I put out, in 2018, 2019 that just right now are taking like a huge spike in views. And I'm like, where are all these people coming from? But I guess what I'm talking about is popular again. So you never know what you're going to get. And at the end of the day, if I could pick a platform that I know people, if they go to Google and if I have created a video, the chances of my video popping up, I'm going to focus on that. And that's exactly what has happened. A lot of my views, someone goes to Google or someone goes to YouTube. I mean, anytime that let's say you buy something, if you need to build something, the first place, I don't know about you, but the first place I go, if I can't understand how to build a desk, I'll go on YouTube because I want to watch a video of someone else doing it. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what people are doing. They're going to Google or YouTube to figure something out, to either get a question solved, to figure out how to do something, or to get educated.
Yeah, it's really well said. And there's a lot of people, regardless of what business you're in, right? Whether it's real estate, whether it's lending, whether it's
Mhm.
insurance, if you can be putting out information that people are absorbing, that the YouTube algorithm is saying is answering a question that someone is posing in the form of a search, you'll be put in front of people who are looking for what you need, right? Which is, it's pretty fun to think about that. I think we've built a pretty good case, Loida, for why people should maybe be taking social media content creation seriously, and not just in the short form, bite size, kind of snack size, junk food type, right?
Yeah.
Some would argue of short form media, but in more in the long form. Let's talk a little bit about how to. You said one video a week,
Mhm.
and that's produced results that's got you to 88,000 subscribers. That's interesting. Can you talk us through a little bit about, because that seems totally doable for everybody out there. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. For me, even when I started, I didn't have a fancy camera. I didn't have lighting. I started with my iPhone 6 back in 2015. And, I didn't have a budget for cameras, 600, $1,000. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to film with my phone because I need to put out this content. I don't know where this is going to lead me, but I just know that I got to put something out there. And that was horrible. In the beginning, I would talk really fast. I would run out of breath. I wouldn't look at the camera. I had a lot of filler words. And I knew that after every video, I would get better. So my communication got better because I was doing these videos. My communication over the phone, in person, being able to deal with so many different personalities, it was like a huge learning experience by just creating content that led to so many other things. So I think nowadays a lot of people make excuses. They think that they need all of this equipment or they need a studio or lighting, when in reality, if you are creating some type of video and putting out content that is educational, that people are learning something, maybe they can share with someone else, that's ultimately what they're interested in. Some of my videos were even like kind of pixelated, but you know what? They've gotten hundreds of thousands of views. It has led to referrals, it has led to clients. And if I would have been too focused on, what, I need that 4K camera, it has happened to me. Well, now I do have those, expensive cameras. I put out a great video. It doesn't even get as many views as, I thought I was going to get. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about just recording, pressing record and posting.
Mhm. You said something else earlier that I caught that I think is going to really help people with this as well. Again, you don't have to do that much if the content is actually answering the question that people have, right? Like sometimes we need to demystify this, that you don't have to be Mr. Beast, right? You don't have to be the Kardashians in order to be on camera, right? You don't have to be giving away millions of dollars to get people to tune in and watch. You're simply answering a question that people are posing in a search bar. Like that's it,
Exactly.
right? So what are your clients asking you? And then I think just being somebody that's enjoyable for people to watch, that they'll subscribe and keep tuning in. And you said something. You said my wins as well as my challenges. I think oftentimes in our society today, we only want to show the highlight reel, right? Like
Yeah.
here's the great things that are happening in my life, and nobody wants to share like, hey, this I really stubbed my toe on this, right? And I think that's actually what makes people human. It makes people be like, oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
can relate to her because I did that once too, and it was embarrassing, and it didn't work either. Like now this person's real to me, right?
Mhm.
Not just this figure talking head. So talk to us a little bit about how you come up with your content to, number one, answer the questions that are being asked in the search bar, but number
Mhm.
two, to make yourself human. It's like, oh, Loida's like me. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what's funny is that one of my very first videos that I ever posted was myself doing my first ever live for sale by owner phone call. So, if you're a real estate agent, if you go after for sale by owners, it can get crazy. They're just like ready to fire off. Maybe they'll go off on you. And for me, it was like, you know what? I'm going to make this a challenge. I'm going to record this. Maybe it'll help someone. I did not know my scripts. I had them in front of me and I recorded it. I posted it on YouTube and it blew up. And I think that video is a video that a lot of agents and a lot of people could see like, wow, Loida's a real deal. We can see her back in 2015. She sucked. She was horrible. Like she did not know what to say. She sounded like a robot. And now, fast forward 8 years later, it's like a completely different person. And I think that goes back to me being consistent and people being able to go so far back in my videos that you can see like, wow, if Loida was there back then, there's some hope for me if I work on my communication, my skills, and just stick to what I'm supposed to be doing in this business.
I loved how you said that like it's almost a rite of passage if you actually want to get people wanting to follow you. It's for them to say at times like, boy, you sucked. Just
Exactly.
like once you
Yes.
do that, then they're like, oh my goodness, like I like this person because I suck too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Even I recently did a video where I was reacting to that call. And even watching it again, I'm like, man, look at my face, look at my facial expressions. Like, what was that all about? It's just hilarious. But I think, like I mentioned earlier, especially in the beginning, if you're not so comfortable with creating content, it's very important for you to look at your videos so that you can see what you need to be improving on. So, what I noticed is that as I was creating these videos way in the beginning, people would say, oh, you're talking too fast, or oh, you're running out of breath. And I would hate getting those comments. It would be the best video where I can give you some awesome home open house tips, but people weren't even focused on that. So then I said, you know what? I need to work on all of this so that I don't get those type of comments. And then that's how I started to get better every single video.
Boy, there's a deep life lesson in that one, folks. Like that you're going to get naysayers, you're going to get trolls, you're going to get people who have nothing better to do than to
Mhm.
criticize other people. Like it's the person who is extremely out of shape, sitting in the stands, yelling and criticizing the athlete that's out on the court that is dedicated to their life. And it's like, really, dude, come on, you and me one on one. Get out of the stands, put your
Exactly.
popcorn and your big gulp soda down, and let's see if we can. Let's see how you do out here, big guy. And that's the equivalent, I think, at times. And yet we listen to them. We're like, you know
Mhm.
what? That guy's right. We forget the fact that in business, they're the one that's extremely out of shape, right? Holding the big gulp soda, criticizing us on the field, like out on the court playing. It's like, no, like use that to make yourself better. Don't make it to like stop doing it. The fact
Mhm.
that you're in the game and you're attempting it and you're trying it, that's awesome. That's great. Go. Congrats to you. The fact that you've got, what is it? Grant Cardone says, he says, you got yourself some haters. Good. Get yourself some
Yeah.
more. Like if you don't have haters, you aren't doing anything worthwhile, you know? And I don't think there's any need to like, I'm very much a fan of being a peacemaker and
Mhm.
actually not like poking bears when unnecessarily needful, right? But I do think that if you're scared of what everyone is saying, I think you're going down the wrong path. Like you shouldn't actually go out and pick fights, but if
Yeah.
someone's trying to pick a fight with you, just know that hey, I'm visible, right? I'm upsetting some people. I'm disrupting some things. Like let it be fuel to your fire, right? Not a bucket of water on your fire.
Exactly. And I think it's very important for anyone to know that you have to be very careful who you take advice from or who you let, influence you because you might get these comments that might ruin your day, but at the end of the day, who are they? If it was Mr. B saying, "Hey Loida, your videos suck, you should change this and this." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Like this guy has
Listening.
millions of views and millions of I should take some advice from him." But if it's from someone who has never even posted a video, like I can't take you seriously. And that's a really important thing that a lot of people need to understand. Just do you, put out your videos, get better every single time. Because I promise you, as long as you're showing up, people are watching. And the moment that someone is interested in doing anything real estate related or whatever industry you're in, you'll be the first person that they think of. And that's when every negative comment that you've ever gotten before, you're going to forget about it. And you're going to say, okay, you know what? This has totally been worth it.
So good. So good, Loida. I absolutely love this conversation because it goes so much deeper than how you get your real estate business, right? This goes about how you go get the life that you want, right? The purpose of this show is to help people to think bigger, right? To actually help them to expand their possibilities. And these principles that you're teaching, they transcend real estate client acquisition, right? They transcend into all areas of life, into parenting, into spirituality, like, be careful who you get advice from. Absolutely, absolute brilliant advice. Loida, how do people learn more from you, about you? Give us a path, and then I've got another big question that everyone's going to want to stay around for.
Okay. Yeah. My YouTube channel, it's just my first name, Loida Velasquez. Also on Instagram, Loida Velas. And then my website's my name as well. Those are the top three.
I love it. You made it easy. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now talk to us about, or let me ask you this final question, which is, this is what I asked to everybody. I want to ask one more tactical question before we go there. Are there any other tips that you've learned when you're trying to get your content to where it's consistent, right? Is there any other like really tactical tips that you've learned that allow you to either come up with content, come up with ideas to shoot? I think that's where most people get stuck, right?
Yeah.
Or hopefully they're unstuck. The fact, I don't need a 4K camera. I don't need all this other stuff. I just need the equipment that you're listening to this podcast on is probably good enough to get started, right? So now that we have that established, the content, what's the best source for people to create content that their clients are going to care about, or they're going to attract the right clients?
So I would say start with your community, wherever it is that you live. Start featuring, what there is to do, pros and cons, top 10, top 5, those videos. And again, I'm speaking in a perspective of you going and creating content for YouTube, because this is searchable. If anyone's looking to move or do anything related, start with your community first. Along with that, anytime that you have a closing, get a video testimonial. Those are so important, video testimonials. Property tours. Something that I like to say, and I tell a lot of my friends that are in the business, is that you have the ability to create your own show on YouTube. You don't need Hollywood anymore. That's exactly pretty much what I have done with my YouTube channel. I come from very humble beginnings where I would watch TV and I'm like, wow, that's so awesome that these people are in those positions. Well, guess what? Now I'm just going to reach out to builders and these awesome buildings and new construction places. Let me see if they'll let me go and create some content, send them a message, and they're like, yeah, sure. So now you're putting yourself in these positions where you can create your own opportunities. So those are just a few things that I would like to mention. So community, property tours, top 5, 10 pros and cons, those would be the way to start when you're creating content to attract clients.
Such good tips, Loida. I love it. All right. This final question is one of my favorites to ask. You are a big thinker, Loida, and that's how you got here. That's how you got to 88,000 subscribers. That's how you're able to pivot your business from prospecting to one of attraction. This is how you're able to now have a team that spans from California to Florida. What is it that Loida Velasquez does to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities?
I would say surrounding myself with the right people, the people that are thinking bigger, because the moment that you become complacent or that you're comfortable, I feel like there's so much potential that's being left on the table. So it's always very important to continue reading, surrounding yourself with the right people that will make you see other opportunities and other possibilities that if you're not in the right circle, you're probably going to be stuck.
So good. So good. It is so true. The people who around you make such an impact and we don't even know it. It's the silent builder or the silent killer, depending upon who we're surrounded with. I love it, Loida. Thank you so much for your time and commitment here on the show. Been so fun to spend some time with you and really tap into your genius, your expertise, and look forward to staying in contact. And for anybody that's interested, please follow Loida. Go find her on YouTube. See what's allowed her to create magic there. So appreciate it very much, Loida. And my final request of everybody listening here today are these 3 simple words, and they are: go think bigger. Loida, thanks for helping us do that today, my friend.
Thanks, Justin.
Be honest, hearing good ideas is not enough. You have to apply them in order to get the results desired. If you found value in today's episode, then you're really going to love the community of big thinkers and high achievers that we are building in order to help you to apply the principles taught today. If you're not yet a member of Think Bigger Real Estate on Facebook, go sign up now.